Hey guys, thank you for turning into Topic Toss. My name is Becca, and every week we're going to have a new topic of discussion with stories, advice, and some music to pass the time. I hope your week is going great. This week's topic is glitches in the Matrix, and I'm very excited to do this topic with you guys. The first story is the Ghost Family. About 3 years ago, I worked at a pizzeria where I carried out various tasks depending on the need. This evening, I was in charge of deliveries. A couple and their two children, who were regular customers, ordered by phone and came to pick up their order at the restaurant. Usually they opted for delivery, but this wasn't the first time they had come to pick up. As they left, I walked past them. A few minutes later, we realized that they were missing an item. We tried calling them, but there was no answer. As they were loyal customers, I had a delivery nearby their address and decided to drop off the item instead. However, when I arrived at their building, something seemed off. They lived off the ground floor of a small building, and their yard was usually filled with children's toys. But that day, it was empty. I rang the intercom, and through the glass door of the building, I saw an elderly woman opening the door of a flat and coming towards me. She told me that she lived there for years, and there was no family living there. Confused, I went back to my car and video called my colleague to make sure I wasn't going crazy. She became puzzled as we had just been confirmed that I had been at the right address. This would have been surprising otherwise, as I had delivered to them several times before and was very familiar with the neighborhood. I tried calling the customers again, but still no answer. Eventually, I had moved on, as I was running out of time. About 2 weeks later, they reordered, and it was as if nothing had happened. I made the delivery, and everything seemed back to normal. Of course, I told them about the strange event. They were just as confused as I and had no explanation, since they of course didn't move and no elderly woman lived there with them. Moreover, they were certain that they had gone straight home after picking up their order. Since these events, we refer to them as the Ghost Family. I am so freaked out by this story. It makes no sense to me. Like, where did the family go? And who was that lady? Because obviously the lady didn't live there. So why was she at their house? And B, if this family ordered from them and went straight home, why weren't they at that house when they brought their missing item to them? And they even said that they were there. So if they were there, where are they? It makes no sense to me how they could have done that. And I'd be super freaked out if I was that delivery person. I don't know what I would have done in that person's situation because, like I said, where did she come from and where did they go? Even to the point of their house being different, like there being no toys outside. Where did all of their stuff go? Especially if it just wound up coming back later as if nothing changed. It's really freaky. I'm not sure how I like that. Now, the song that I think is going to go really good with this story is Human by Sev Deliza, because it's so ethereal and creepy and weird. It fits the vibes of this story perfectly to me, so I hope you guys enjoy it as much as I do. All right, so our next story is my cousin came to visit, but something was wrong with her. What I want to tell you about happened half a year ago. It's about me, a 20-year-old woman, my cousin, a 36-year-old woman, and my grandma, who is 66. I grew up with my grandma, and my cousin is actually the second closest person in my life since day one. She lives a few towns away, but she comes to visit me and my grandma at least once a month. Since I can remember, it has never been any different than that. And when she would come over, she would always text or call me first, asking to get coffee ready. When I was a child, she would call my grandmother first. She would never come without informing us beforehand. As soon as she walked through the door, it's always the same, like a little ritual. I open the door, she hugs me, puts her bag down, and takes her jacket off, and then goes into the living room to hug my grandma. That in mind, let's go back a few months. It was just a regular day in the afternoon when our doorbell rang. I didn't really know who it was, but I assumed that it was a package delivery driver asking me to take a package for my neighbor. So I looked out the window. I saw that it was my cousin. I was pretty happy to see her, but already surprised that she came over without calling beforehand. I opened the door and let her in, but instead of hugging me, she walked straight past me and sat down in the living room. She didn't put her bag down because, weird enough, she didn't even bring her bag. My grandma had the same reaction as me, happy about the visit, but kind of surprised. But it just got weirder. For like an hour, we talked about the normal stuff. What's new? How's everything? Etc. At some point in the conversation, we brought up her brother's car, and she acted surprised. She said that he didn't have a car and that she can't even remember him having a license, which is weird because she is the one that helped him get it and choose the car not too long ago. She told us about it before when her brother was with her. Even after we told her that, she swore that she couldn't remember. By her tone, we knew that she wasn't kidding. Overall, she isn't the type of person who would do stuff like that just to mess with us. After 2 or 3 hours, she said that she had to go home because she worked tomorrow. She stood up, walked straight out the door, and left. I looked out the window and waved her goodbye. We always do this, but she didn't even look up. My grandma and I both agreed that this was the strangest visit ever and that we're going to talk to her about it the next time she comes over. A few weeks forward, she calls me as usual, saying that she would come over. So I got a coffee ready, and when she was at our apartment, everything was the same as always. She came in, hugged me, put her bag down, etc. As soon as she sat down, we agreed to ask her about last time, and she knew nothing. Like that day didn't even happen in her memory. When we asked her when the last time she was here was, she said a month ago, but the weird visit was 2 weeks ago. When we asked what we talked about the last time she was here, she said all of the stuff that happened when she was here a month ago, and none from that last time. She thought we were kidding her or messing with her, and we were just so confused. She still doesn't remember this day, and P.S., none of us were under the influence of alcohol or substances during this time. That is one of the strangest events I've ever heard of, and I will say that a lot of people in the comments were mentioning that sometimes stuff like this can happen when people are on like new medications. It can cause people to forget things, all types of explanations. My only problem with that, like I do sort of agree, but my only problem with that is this story was from 6 months ago. I feel like within those 6 months of it happening and then, this story being released on Reddit, I feel like the family would have learned about her being on some type of medication that could have done that. So the fact that even to this day, she still doesn't know of that day happening, like having some type of explanation on why she had like amnesia, it makes no sense to me. So the only song that I can think of that fits that perfectly, since she had amnesia, why not play Amnesia by 5 Seconds of Summer? So I hope you guys enjoy. It's a cute little song, and we'll come back for the next story. The next story is called 30-Minute Gas Station Glitch. About 3 months ago, I went to pick up Chinese food at a place my husband and I go to very often. I paid using my debit card and then stopped at the same gas station I always do on the way home to throw in $20 in my tank. When I went inside, I didn't recognize the clerk, but I didn't think anything of it until later. I only really noticed that it wasn't one of the same 5 employees I always talk to because of the weird interaction I had. I went to pay with the same debit card and it declined. Weird, there was no funding problem. I went to check my phone to see if my bank had texted me about the charge for some reason, only to find that instead of having service, my phone displayed SOS where 5G usually would be. I have never seen that before. Very confused, I tried to use one of my credit cards issued from a different bank. Declined. Now embarrassed, I found some cash and told the cashier what pump I was on. There was no one else at the gas station, and I walked back to my car, pulled out the pump, and tried to start pumping gas, to no avail. The pump wasn't clearing from the previous transaction, and my phone was still saying SOS. The hairs on my back and neck started sticking up. The street around the gas station, which should have been somewhat busy for a Saturday evening, was completely dead. I was utterly confused and felt disoriented after pressing only 3 types of gas and the clear button several times. I went back inside and asked the clerk if there was something wrong with the pump. They looked at me as if they had never seen or spoken to me and asked which pump I was on. On the second trip, I was able to get it to work, but drove away with the strangest feeling. My phone only started working when I got back to my house. There had never been any problem with my cell service or bank cards since. I know it seems really mundane, but I can't shake the feeling that I left reality or left this timeline for 30 minutes. Ew. First of all, I hate that story because, especially because it's a place that's so normal to you. If it's a place you go to all the time, I can only imagine, like, it sort of feels like it's encroaching on your safe space almost, which is weird. I have never seen an SOS on my phone before. I didn't even know that they could do that. That's another weird thing. And the fact that she was there for so much time doing all of this, and then suddenly she goes back inside to fix the problem, and they never saw her there in the first place. Like, what do you mean? I was just in here getting gas. What do you mean you've never seen me here before? I just talked to you. It's so confusing to me, and I probably feel the same feeling of feeling like I left reality for a little bit. It makes no sense to me. And all I can think of is I'm thinking of my like local gas station right around the corner from my house, and I'm trying to picture a Saturday evening there, and never would I expect to see nobody around. So I'm just as confused as she or he is in the story because I can't picture it in my personal life. So I could imagine if I was in the same situation, how confused I would be. And it gives me the same feeling that it gave them with like the hairs sticking up on the back of your neck. I don't like it. I don't like it. But because her phone screamed out SOS to her, I'm putting on SOS by Rihanna. Hope you guys enjoy. A black and white dog stalks me in Utah and New Mexico. That is the title of our next story. I already don't like the title of that. But the story goes, all of my life I've been followed by a black and white dog. I'm always with someone else when I see it, and either I see it as black and they see it as white, or vice versa. It disappears in plain sight and it vanishes into thin air. I'm never alone when I see it. It's very scrawny and bony and looks very tall and more like a deer than a dog. It sounds weird to say, but the way that it places its legs when it walks is more deer or goat-like than canine-like. Once I saw it when I was hunting, and when I tried to shoot it, my gun clicked into safety mode. These experiences continue to get more unnerving as the last time I heard it, it was inside my house. I'm thankful my family knows I'm not crazy because they've seen the same thing. Even a cop saw it with me when I was walking back home once. He walked up to it with his gun drawn and it vanished in plain sight again. Is this common? I can't find anyone else who's had something similar happen to them, and I have so many more sightings and experiences with this entity. Now, I'm also going to read some of the comments that this poster put on the thread. So they said, it's been following my family for generations, at least two anyway, and I don't think it's going anywhere anytime soon. My dad said that he used to see something similar when he was a kid, but so far, I'm the one with the most encounters. My dad said that before he would see it, he'd get this overwhelming sense of dread, like birds stop chirping and nature falls completely silent. It just runs past us and it doesn't look at anything. My dad said that when he used to see it, its back legs were longer than its front, so it would have a little leap when it would run or walk. Just an extreme sense of unease would be felt when these encounters happen, and they happen every couple of years, so there's no telling when the next sighting will occur. Multiple points I'd like to make here. A, why does it vanish into thin air? B, why do you only see it when there's other people around? C, why do the two people see it as different dogs? Like, let's think of that. If I see a white dog and you looked at me while you're standing next to me and said, that's not a white dog, that's a black dog, I would have thought you were crazy, okay? Another point, you say that this thing doesn't act like a dog, like it doesn't walk or run like a dog. That's creepy. You can't shoot it, you can't do anything to it, it doesn't pay you any attention, and it's been following you not only across multiple states, but multiple generations. Because this guy also did say that he is Native American and that it followed him, his father, and his grandfather. And he did say that his great-grandfather had passed, so he couldn't ask him if it had followed him as too. But if we're going to be honest, if we're thinking of this, he probably did have some kind of interaction with something like this if all of the rest of them have. So this dog is giving me like Wendigo, Skinwalker vibes, but a lot of people in the comments did say that it might just be a spirit guide, which I can also see as well. They said that it could be a spirit guide, like just showing him that he's on the right path or to stop him from doing something that he was previously doing, which all for it, because if I saw that dog, I would have stopped too. um, but I also hate the fact that, like, you never know when it's going to pop up. That's a gross feeling. I'd live in perpetual fear that this thing would pop up and I wouldn't know what to do. But it's eerie. I don't like it. It's weird. I feel like I feel that feeling a lot of just like, I don't like it. Creepy, weird stuff freaks me out, but I love freaking myself out. So I can't stop doing it. But it does. It gives me that like chill, like the last one that I don't like. But I also have another thought. If the dog constantly vanishes when you see it, what if it's still there? Like, just because you can't see it, if this is a spirit, it's always there. You just can't see it. So that means it's around you, even when you don't know it. And I hate that feeling. That feeling of somebody watching you and you don't know. You can't sign me up for that. So the feeling of somebody watching you is awful. And the best song I got is Somebody's Watching Me by Michael Jackson. Hope you guys enjoy. Now, our last story for today is called I Think My Dog Glitched. Our bonus room is in our downstairs and has doors that we shut and lock fairly often when trying to clean because my dog likes to chase a vacuum. First of all, I've never had a dog enjoy a vacuum. Every dog that I've had has been deadly terrified of vacuums, but we're going to continue. Well, recently, myself and my mother were the only ones home, and I was helping her clean for a party that we were having the next day. So we locked our dog in and heard her scratching at the door. She cannot reach the door handle, and these doors are very heavy. You have to give them a good tug to open them. Well, somehow, about 10 minutes into our cleaning, my dog showed up in the kitchen. Me and my mom were super confused because we had been with each other the whole time, so neither one of us could have let her out. Assuming she somehow busted out when we went to check, both doors were still shut and locked. So how did she get out? There's no way my dog unlocked the door, let herself out, and relocked the door, but it gets more confusing. So we joked about the weird situation and went back to cleaning, assuming our dog was a master escape artist. Our dog wandered off to our living room where her bed was, so we assumed she went to lay down. It's her usual spot, so we continued cleaning, and we noticed from the kitchen window that our dog was now in the backyard running around. The only way out there would be from our front door or the sliding glass door in our living room, which were both completely closed. We were so freaked out we stopped cleaning and just kept an eye on her until the rest of the family came home. Couple of points. Now, what happened in the comments was this person did state that, again, they were the only ones home, and on top of being the only ones home, all of their doors do squeak, including like the sliding glass door and all of it. So somebody did suggest that there might have been somebody in the house with them, but they said that they would have heard them moving around, A, and B, if they had opened any of the doors and let the dog out or anything like that, they still would have heard it. Where did this dog go? How did it get there? I've never heard of a dog teleporting before in real life. I'm sorry. I'm just thinking of a little small beagle with an underdog cape on, zooming around, flying through the air, because dogs don't do that. You could have gotten me if it was a cat. If it was a cat, I could have told you that there was some kind of way the cat got out. But you cannot convince me that a dog did this. You can't. It's impossible. And on top of that, she also posted that all of their windows were closed too. So there's not even an explanation where like the dog got out of a window. Like, how did it do it? Because I'm assuming this is a small dog because they said that the dog can't reach the handle of the door. So the dog can't reach the handle of the door, can't open the door because it's a heavy door. The door is locked. So she somehow unlocked the door, got out, closed the door, and then relocked it. That's impossible. You can't convince me that that was possible by a dog. You can't. So now I'm just wondering what happened here to make that happen. Like, it boggles my mind. But my number one question is, who let the dogs out? By the Baha Men. Did you see what I did there? All right. Our next song is Who Let the Dogs Out by the Baha Men. And I hope you enjoy. And this is going to be our last song for today. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode of Topic Toss. Again, this was found on the Glitch in the Matrix Reddit page, and I hope you guys have a good week, and you tune in for next week's episode.